Hey, for everyone who's interested in starting a startup, starting a new company may seem daunting and overwhelming. I'm going to give you a 10-minute overview on how to get started in building a business. Now, for folks who are looking or thinking about startups, it can be incredibly intimidating. And oftentimes people assume that startups are a young person's game, but the data really shows that that's not true. In fact, some of the most successful companies in the world are started by people who are in their late 30s, early 40s, or even later. Now, transitioning to a startup can feel like you're learning a new language. And this video is going to take you through the basics from everything from starting your idea, putting your team together, talking to investors, and then getting going using the lean startup methodology. When you're getting started, it's important to understand your market needs. And market needs may feel a little intimidating, but it's really understanding what are the gaps in the target market that you're actually solving. Now, sometimes people start with, oh, I have this great idea, but it's really not about the idea. It's really about solving a key problem. And so people emphasize the idea, but ideas are not the most important thing. It's the problem. You want to identify friction in the market. And friction is really a problem that people are frustrated with. You want to find something that people are angry about, frustrated about, or a huge opportunity. Now, this can come from a number of different ways. It can be something that is personal to you, so you may experience this problem. It may be something in your industry. So if you're in a particular industry, you may see this problem over and over and over again. But even if it's outside of your industry, you need to talk to people who are in that space to really validate that market. Often when I'm advising startups, they will interview 50 or 100 customers in a particular segment to really validate that the problem really exists, that this is a hair on fire problem and that people are really desperate to have a solution. When you really do market research and really talk to customers and identify something that people are extraordinarily excited about getting solved, this is a huge de-risk for your startup, for your business. Now, when I was starting one of my businesses, I actually made the same exact mistake and I forgot to talk to customers. I was scratching a personal itch, and this cost me probably $500,000 and about 2 years of effort because I was trying to build something and I had not validated the actual need in the market that people wanted this particular problem solved. Now, once you have that problem, you have that thing that people want solved, it's tempting to try to jump into immediately solving it. And that's okay. You can certainly try to do that, but often it's helpful to assess whether you have the right team. Now, many startups are started by a solo entrepreneur, someone who has a vision and a mission. They want to build it themselves. But when we look at the most successful companies in the world, the majority of companies are actually started with 2 or more co-founders. And this is because co-founders can significantly de-risk your ability to execute a particular idea. Co-founders bring a number of different advantages. One, they bring complementary skills. They bring complementary networks. They provide a sounding board for you and your idea. Sometimes when you're building solo, you get so in love with your idea that you spend obsessive time on the idea and you're not actually validating that the direction, the product, the feature, the thing that you're building actually makes sense. And so I found that working with a co-founder, working with other people who are directly on the team is a really good sounding board to make sure that we're bouncing ideas off each other and we're getting that validation. Often you'll have lots of ideas, but only so much time to execute. And especially when you're getting started, they provide more talent, more ability to execute with less of the salary needs. So when you're getting started, it can often feel like you need to boil the ocean. You need to do everything all at once. And there's a really great methodology for starting a startup called Lean Startup Methodology. This was made popular by a book by Raiz called Lean Startup, and it really talks through the idea of how you can start small and build upon it. The idea of Lean Startup is that you do 3 things. You build, you measure, and you learn. And so you build really small things. You try not to build the entire product, but you build something really small. This is sometimes referred to as an MVP, or minimally viable product. But the idea is you build something very little, small and incremental, but you learn something from actual customers who are experiencing the problem. Again, remember, if you've started with customer validation and market validation, you've talked to a lot of people who have this burning desire, this friction in the world that they want solved. And if you can do one small, tiny little bit of effort to solve some small piece of that pain, you can learn from that customer experience and build on top of that. So build, measure, learn, and repeat. And that's the fundamentals of lean startup. Now, the key is you're always learning, you're always iterating, and you're doing it rapidly. Unlike many large companies that may be months or even years to develop a product or solution, you're really looking to learn very iteratively, sometimes in days, certainly in weeks. The faster you're able to learn, the more cycles you're able to take, and the faster you're able to build your startup. The huge advantage that startups have over traditional companies is that they can learn and iterate faster. The startup methodology is just not something that can be applied to multi-billion-dollar businesses. They can't pivot and learn as quickly as a small team can. Next, we're going to talk about fundraising. Now, fundraising is a topic that sometimes startups lead with. Obviously money is important and we need money to operate the business, but there are lots of ways to build a business. There are lots of ways to fund the business. And honestly, venture capital and angel investment isn't always the right way. Now, before I go too deep, first a warning. Many companies may not be a fit for venture capital. In fact, many businesses can harm themselves by raising too much money. Investment can be a good fit for certain types of companies, particularly if those companies can utilize the cash and grow very, very quickly. When running a fundraising process or thinking about money, it's really important to understand the entire landscape of potential fundraising. And that comprises of venture capital, angel investment, and bootstrapping your business. Let's start with bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is really using your own resources, using the revenue that you get from customers, using your own savings to run and operate your business. Most businesses can actually be very successful bootstrapping their business. I bootstrap my own business, and while it's hard in the early years, you end up owning the majority of the equity in your business, and it means that you're less dependent on outside influence or outside investors. Now, certain businesses are actually hard to bootstrap because they require a lot more upfront capital, or they're not going to be particularly profitable for the early years of that company. This is particularly true of certain types of businesses such as hardware businesses, software businesses, or other technology businesses. They may require more upfront cash to start and get that business up and rolling off the ground. When considering fundraising, it's important to understand how the dollars or investment will help you grow the business. There's a lot more to be said on fundraising, but first and foremost, you need to be delivering and building a product that is valuable and be able to demonstrate through either some of your own data or at least a little bit of a financial understanding of how capital invested into your business can produce a return. The key thing for early founders to understand about venture capital is looking to get a significant return, often 10x or 100x their investment. That's why venture capital isn't always a good fit for every single business. You have to kind of evaluate your particular company, your business, and your vision to understand, can you grow 5x or 10x on an annual basis? In the early years of many venture capital businesses, they may be growing quite substantially, and that may not be a good fit for certain companies. Now, as you're exploring venture capital or investment, if you get a little bit of funding to help grow your company, it really becomes about tracking progress over time. In fact, one of my key tips for investment is that investors invest in lines, not dots. It means that investors want to see progress over time. When you are growing and running your company, it's important to track metrics around your business so you can tell if you're heading in the right direction. Now, what metrics should you track? What metrics are important? Every business is a little bit different, but you want to be able to track the key things that influence the growth and trajectory of your business. That could be your customers, that could be your traffic if you're a website, it could be retention, but it's really understanding the prime drivers of your business. Some things in your business are going to be reactive. Some metrics in your business are going to be proactive. You want to understand what are the elements of your business that can help you grow substantially. Many investors are looking for month-over-month growth, and you as a CEO want to be thinking about what are the metrics that are predictive of my future revenue, my future customers, or my future employees. By and large, understanding the metrics of your business are really important for being able to get qualified investors, and even more importantly, even if you don't have investors, for you to adequately run your business and run a tight ship, allowing you to grow faster and more effectively. So, okay, you've got some of the lean methodology, you're building a team, you have an understanding of some of the elements of finance. Next thing to do is really engage the startup community. Startup and entrepreneurship can be an incredibly lonely journey because you feel like you're on it on your own. Your spouse or partner may not really understand what you're doing. Some of your roommates or some of your friends may not really understand the journey of entrepreneurship. So it's super effective and helpful to join startup communities. You can find startup communities online on Reddit, on Discord, or other places. Get out into your local community, even in small towns. If you don't happen to live in Silicon Valley, if you live in another city, look for startup communities either online or in your local geography, because when you network with other entrepreneurs, it will help unlock faster learning. There's a lot of research that cohort-based learning or learning with other people increases the speed of learning. So surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs, other people who are in the startup game will lead to more introductions to investors, mentors, and customers. And last but not least, take action. If you're thinking about starting a company, the key thing is to get started. It may feel incredibly intimidating to get started in your business. You don't know where to start or what to do, but even just watching this video and subscribing, joining the community of other entrepreneurs, and putting a little bit of yourself out there to take a risk, to talk to some customers, and maybe make yourself feel a little bit foolish is exactly how you get started. The best entrepreneurs have resilience, they have grit, and they're not afraid of being rejected. And getting your idea out into the world is exactly how to get started. I'm Raiz. I talk about entrepreneurship, technology, and design. I'll catch you on the next one.